Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today is my September wrap-up. In the month of September, I read 20 books. I am okay with that number. It is less than I normally read, but there are definitely reasons why I read less. And I feel pretty okay about it. I've been reading more physical or ebooks rather than audiobooks, and I read those a lot slower, but I am happy that I'm even able to read ebooks because 3 months ago I wasn't able to read them at all. So I'm working with my neurologist and I'm getting a little bit better each day, and I feel very accomplished with the fact that I can finish a 150-200 page ebook. It just takes me a lot longer than it used to, which can be frustrating because I used to read so fast, but I am just thankful that I'm able to read them at all. So that is one of the reasons why I read a lot less books this month. The other reason is that I took a week off where I went on vacation to visit my best friend from college, and I did not do a lot of reading there. I haven't seen her in person since March of 2020, so I was incredibly excited to see her and spent the whole week with her and her. We went to the beach and we hung out and it was just amazing to see her, but I did a lot of book shopping but didn't do a lot of reading. So that whole week I think I only finished one ebook, so that makes sense that I had less books, but I am still okay with it. I did, however, in the month of September, my last book for September completed my 300 book or Goodreads goal that I had set at the beginning of the year, so that's very exciting. I will be probably bumping that goal up to 400, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit, but I like a challenge, so we're going to try that. But that is exciting. So I have some statistics to share. Those 20 books broke down to 4,113 pages and 76 hours of audiobooks to listen. I only had one 5-star read this month, which was King Sized by JESSA KANE, which I talk about in a reading blog. If you'd like to see my full thoughts on that, I will link above. I read that one, so that is my only 5-star from the month. I had two 4.5 stars, which were The Lie by KARLA, which is in that same reading blog as King Sized, and the other one was Drilled by K.M. Newhold, which is in my mid-month wrap-up if you want to go check that out. The first 9 books that I read this month were in my mid-month wrap-up. Then I had 8 4-star, 6 3.5 star, and 3 3-star books. So not bad, but not the best ratings. I have been rating books less and less. Like, I've had less 5 stars each month. So I'm gonna have to find some new good 5 stars. So all those ratings gave us an average rating of 3.8, which overall, not bad. I am not horribly mad about that. All 20 of the books that I read were romance, like always, but I have a little bit of a breakdown of what types they were. So 12 of them I labeled just as contemporary, which means that they didn't fit in any of the other categories that I have. 3 of them were fantasy or paranormal. I combined those together. And then 5 were sports romances. I had 11 ebooks and 9 audiobooks, which is so exciting. I cannot remember the last time I had more ebooks than audiobooks. It just makes me so happy that I can do that. And 18 were adult and 2 were new adult. So that is it for statistics. I think that's it for statistics. Yeah. So now let's get into the books that I read in the second half. So for the whole month, I read a lot of MM novellas. I was in a very MM mood. I have been getting out of that a little bit and reading more of a balance between MM and MF, but a lot of the books that I read in September were MM, including the first half of the month, so a lot. So in the first book that I read in the second half of the month was Hot Ride by Lucy Lennox. This one was very funny. It was a novella, and it was about a guy who worked as a phone sex worker. And he is getting in the back of an Uber, and he sees that his Uber driver is deaf, and he needs to finish up this call that a client had called him. So he is working as a phone sex operator while getting into this Uber, thinking that the driver is deaf, when actually the driver that was supposed to be there couldn't make it, and his brother took over for him, who is not deaf. So he gets into this car and is pretending to be his brother so his brother doesn't get in trouble. But he's not deaf, and so he hears everything that the phone sex worker is saying, and it's very funny. Then they end up meeting each other later, and that it's their romance, and it was pretty cute, and I liked it. Then I read Abandoning Ship by Susan Hawk. This one I listened to on audio, and I didn't love this one. It was a friends to lovers, so they were roommates who became best friends, and one of them started fake dating the other one's sister, and they didn't tell anyone that they were fake dating. They're fake dating for like years and years and years. And then she's like, I need to get married in order to get my inheritance from my horrible father, or else he's going to make me go to business school, and I don't want to go to business school. So they pretend, they're like already have been fake dating for all this time. And so she's like, will you marry me so I can get my inheritance and I'll pay off your student loans? And he's like, okay, we only have to stay married for like a year. So then they go through all this work to do a fake marriage, or a real marriage, but for fake reasons. And then the bride leaves him at the altar, and it's very weird. And then the guy that was going to be the groom ends up realizing that he's actually in love with his best friend, who's been in love with him all these years but couldn't be in love with him because he was dating his sister. It's very weird, and I did not really like it. Then I read The Lie by KARLA SORENSEN. This is the one that I said was my one of my 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this one, and I talk fully about my thoughts in a reading vlog, like I said. So again, it will be linked above or in the comment or in the description box. And I really liked this one. It is the daughter of the couple from The Bombshell Effect, and I really liked the hero. It's a football romance, and I really, really enjoyed it. And there was a couple nitpicky things that I wasn't a fan of, which is why it's not 5 stars, it's 4.5 stars, but I still really, really enjoyed it and would totally recommend it. Then I read Drawing the Doctor, which is also in that reading vlog, and King Size, which is also in that reading vlog. I loved King Size, gave it 5 stars. Didn't quite love Drawing the Doctor. It was okay. Not a favorite, but not terrible. Then I read Blindsided by Eden Finley. This was the last Eden Finley book that I needed to read, and for some reason I ended up skipping it when I had read the Fake Boyfriend series. Because this I think is like number 3 in the Fake Boyfriend series, and I've read all the other ones but not this one, or I realized that I hadn't read this one, so I read it. And I listened to the audiobook, and it wasn't my favorite in the series, but it wasn't awful. I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it a lot. It is a football romance, not hockey, which I for some reason thought it was hockey and went in expecting it to be hockey, and then it was football. But I enjoyed it. And it is a friends to lovers bisexual awakening. Then I read The Legacy by Elle Kennedy, and this one I have thoughts about. So This is the bind up of novellas from the off-campus series. It was a very, very anticipated release for me. I absolutely love the off-campus series. It's one of my favorites, but I did not like this. I gave it 3.5 stars I gave it 3.5 stars for the nostalgia effect, because I really enjoyed the idea of being back with the characters, which is why it was 3.5. I gave it the 0.5 because I was like, ooh, I liked all the little nods to who was, seeing Coach in it and seeing the other friends come. And I liked a couple of the novellas, but I felt very betrayed by Elle Kennedy, because I felt like she had entirely undone the character development that we had in the original books. It didn't feel like these characters were the characters I remembered at all, especially Hannah and Garrett. I loved Hannah and Garrett. They were top tier epitome romance. Absolutely adored that book, and I could not stand their novella in this one. I was so mad. And it just didn't feel like Hannah at all, and I felt like that about a couple of the other characters also. Dean and Allie specifically were ones that they're some of my favorite characters, and I wasn't really a fan of their story, especially Allie. So I was disappointed in this. I just didn't feel that the characters felt like the same characters that we had read in the off-campus series. I liked Tucker and Sabrina's story. I always felt that they were very fiery in their book, which was interesting because that's my least favorite book in the series, but it was probably my favorite novella in this one. And I don't know, it just didn't feel like the decisions that the characters were making in this book didn't feel like decisions the characters that I remember would have made. So I was disappointed. It wasn't awful, but I wouldn't go into this book expecting to see the exact same characters from the off-campus series, because they weren't. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of the book, and have a discussion about it, because I need to talk to somebody because I didn't like it. Then I read Undone by You by Kate Meador. This is a novella, hockey male romance, and it is between a player and who is closeted and a team owner who is out as gay. So it is forbidden because one's the team owner and one's a player, so his career is in his hands and everything. And it was alright, but I didn't love it. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Breakaway by Romeo Alexander, which honestly I gave 3 stars and can't remember a single thing that it was about. I just am looking at my chart and see that I gave it 3 stars, but I could not tell you a single thing of what it was about. Then I read Hey by Lucy Lennox. This is a football male novella, and it is between a coach and I think he's a sports reporter. And it was very, very short, very quick, and it was very cute. I liked it. 4 stars for what it was, for how short it was. I really liked it. Then I read A Pebble for Lewis by Amy Bellows. This one is a penguin and polar bear shifter romance. And it's forbidden because the penguins and the polar bears can't be together. And it was weirdly adorable. I didn't go into it expecting a lot from it. I was just I felt like I wanted a paranormal or shifter romance as I was getting closer to October, because this is the last book that I read in September. And I was I need a shifter romance. And somebody on a Facebook group recommended this one as a shifter romance. And I went into it and all they said it was penguin shift and polar bear shifters. And I was very interesting. It was kind of adorable, but it was very odd. So I don't read MPreg stories, which are books that contain male pregnancy. So like a lot of shifter and paranormal romances, romances, contain where the submissive or like omega can get pregnant. And I don't read them. I don't particularly enjoy them, but this was the first one that I didn't know it was going to be that going into it. But they are penguins, so they just lay an egg, and it was less, I didn't mind it as much as some of the other ones that I've read, but it was still and not something that I would want to read over and over and over again, I guess. But for what it was, I liked the forbidden aspect of it, because the penguins and the polar bears are like super different personality types. They like live on different sides of town, and they don't interact, and they don't like each other. And the penguins are like super stuffy and like pretentious and deal with like math and science, and the polar bears are very like outgoing and loud and creative and usually like artistic types. And they're not allowed to like interact, but these two meet when they're younger in like high school, and they become friends, and they have to be secret friends because their parents would get mad if they found out. And then as the years go by, they start to develop feelings for each other, and then they decide to become mated. And polar bears don't mate for life, but penguins do, and the polar bear shifter in it agrees to mate for life. He's like, I couldn't imagine mating with anyone else, so they decide to like mate for life. It's very cute, and it was interesting, and it was different than anything I had ever read. But that's it. Those are all the books that I read. I am excited going into October to read a lot of paranormal romances. I already didn't read my I'm like totally off what my TBR was. I'm in like an entirely different mood than when I filmed my TBR video. So I don't know if I'm gonna read any of the books on my TBR, but that's okay. I'm a mood reader, and that's how mood readers work. But that's it for this video. Let me know how many books you read in September, which was your favorite. I need a good recommendation. But that's it, so give it a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Oh, I just hit myself in the face. I'll see you next time. Bye.